So it's okay to call you by your first name, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Do you call yourself Judy or Judith?
Judith.
Judith? Well, hello,
Uh-huh.
Judith. You're
Hi.
here. Here you are. You're talking to the whole world with me right now.
Yeah.
How are you?
My only goal is to not embarrass my granddaughter if she sees them.
How would you do that?
I have a tendency of saying like whatever comes across my mind, like not mainstream, like I've seen a sabe, and it just scares her to death that when she's around me with her friends, that I'm going to say something that she thinks is off the wall. So that's my hope, not to embarrass her.
I'm sure we're gonna be fun. So, where are you roughly? Roughly, not town. Wherever you want. Like, what state are you in? Province?
I'm located outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Outside of Nashville. You know what? We were talking about going to Nashville a little while ago. It seems to be quite the draw, but I don't really know anything about it. But everybody, like some friends of mine in Alabama, they said, "Oh, we're just down in Nashville." I go, well, how was it? Oh, it was a complete blast. It was a riot. Is it?
I've been there twice. I have no reason to go back, but then I don't do the bars and stuff like that, so I'm not a drinker. It's mostly a nightlife I think they're talking about.
Oh, so it's like a lot of like a bar nightclub strip with people
Yeah,
playing music at the bars.
yeah, I'm sure there's other stuff to do there, but I don't have any interest. I stay around home.
Right. How big is it? Is it a big place, Nashville?
Nashville, the traffic's unbelievable.
Is it like Las Vegas?
Uh, I've been to Las Vegas. It wasn't nearly as confusing as Nashville is.
Really?
Yeah, not to me anyway. No.
Well, we might check it out. So, how long did you grow up where you are now?
No, when I was growing up, my father did steel work. So we moved like every 3 or 4 months from first grade to sixth grade. I lived in
Oh,
six
that must have
different
been
states.
tough.
It was really hard because I was really shy. But he worked at the Kennedy Space Center, painting the Apollo rockets and stuff like that. And then
Really?
yeah, as soon as that's done, they lay you off. And then we'd go to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, wherever. And we were in places 2 or 3 months, and it was move on. So,
So you got freshly picked on every 3 or 4 months at school.
God, it was miserable.
Aren't kids cruel? Is this so weird how kids are naturally cruel?
Well, they weren't really mean to me, but I was so shy that I would not approach anybody. And by the time I finally did, it was time to go again.
Right. So,
Yeah, it was
one quick question. So, do you think we landed on the moon?
no.
Does your dad think we landed on? Does your dad think we landed on the moon?
I when he worked there back in the '60s, he and his friends who also worked there, we'd have barbecue parties on the weekend for the launches. I'm convinced that they thought we did, but I've had 6 family members that have worked there all the way back to Apollo days to 20 years ago. I say no.
Right.
I don't believe it for a second.
I agree. That doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what we think. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm on my own ride, and I'm not jumping on that ride. Right?
Well, they're not going to admit it. They're raking in 300 million a day. So why would they admit, that we're not going anywhere?
Yeah, no kidding. So when did you start first learning and figuring out that everything's not quite the way we've been told it is? It is.
9/11.
Really? No, I mean with your supernatural things going on then.
That started in 1968 when I was 9 years old.
So that's when you first started figuring out things just aren't quite the way you've been raised to believe.
Yeah. I was raised in a very religious family, and anything beyond what the Bible says, there's nobody else and it's just God made us. You weren't even allowed to discuss anything of that nature.
So what happened?
Well, we lived on a farm. My parents rented. It was 10 miles outside of Tiscawah, Illinois. In 1968, I believe the people that owned it was named Bates because we've always referred to it as Bates Farm. So we moved in, and it was summertime. And right off the bat, in the first couple of days, us kids ran wild. I had a brother and a sister, and we were just cut loose to run wild, do whatever we wanted to, as long as we were back before dark. So we'd go on the back of this property. I think it was like 40 acres, something like that. And we'd play around an old gully that cows used to fall down in and couldn't get out. A lot of dead cows back there. But when we were back there playing, we would hear Jeff, Becky, Judy, our mother's voice calling us. And this was like half a mile away from the house. So we're hauling to get back to the house. And we'd get there and we'd say, well, what? What do you want? We're little kids. We're in like second, third, and fourth grade. And she said, I didn't call you. What are you talking about? Go back out and play. So we'd go back out there, and every time we went out, every day, we would hear something calling us in my mother's voice back to the house, which
Every
was
day?
every day. We lived there for 2 months.
Holy shit.
And then weird stuff started happening. My mother is a facetious? Oh, fastidious. I don't know. Housemaker. Everything was clean. I mean, you could eat off the floor. She would never, ever allow us to be in a filthy house. Well, every morning when we'd wake up in that house from the very first day, every window screen, every windowsill in the house, it was an old farmhouse. No holes in the screens, no gaps in the doors, was like 2 inches layer thick of just dead flies in every window in the house.
What?
And yeah, we didn't know it at the time, but since then, in the last couple of years, I've heard a lot of people say that evil paranormal stuff, like demons and spirits and stuff, that would happen in their houses. They would just have nothing but dead flies in the windowsills.
Instant, like flick of a finger.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and they'd be 2 inches thick all the way across the sill.
2 inches thick.
Yes, and we never saw a flying fly in that house ever.
That is so freaking weird.
But it gets better. Okay.
Oh, I'm all ears. I'm like, here we go. Strap ourselves in for this one.
Yes, right before we moved out.
So, one quick note: that's a dirty pool trick. If you can smoothly fool children, young children, with their mother's voice, that's really, really, really alarming.
I'll tell you why I think I might know after I tell you about the UFO.
All right.
So one night, my sister and I shared a bedroom upstairs. My brother had a bedroom upstairs and a bathroom. My parents' bedroom was downstairs. Well, we saw a lot of flickering in the clouds one night, and my sister was already asleep because we shared a bed. My brother came over from his bedroom. He was in 4th grade at the time. I was in 2nd. And we saw flickering in the clouds outside, so we thought a storm was going to start. So we went and crouched down at the windowsill to watch outside. And we had a pine tree in the back about maybe 200 feet from the house. Biggest pine tree you've ever seen in your life. Us 3 kids could hold our hands and not fit around the trunk of it. It was huge. It was about 60 feet tall. It didn't have anything on the top of it. No branches, no leaves, no nothing. It looked like been there forever. So we're looking out the window and we're watching the flickering. There's no lightning. There's no sound of thunder, but the clouds are flickering like it's like lightning. And all of a sudden, and I know this is going to sound crazy. It's going to sound crazy. All of a sudden we look and there's a UFO, your regular disc-shaped gray metal UFO, hovering about 10 feet above this pine tree. We can see it as clear as day. It has, I don't remember if the red light was on the left or the right, but its lights were going like this. They would touch in the front, go back to the back, come back. You know what I mean? This is what the green red lights were doing. That's all we saw. And all of a sudden, a blue beam came out of the bottom of it and cracked this pine tree straight down the middle.
Whoa.
And it fell. And we thought, I don't even know how that night ended. My brother and I looked at each other, and then we looked out, and there was nothing except for the cracked tree. Now, the next morning, we didn't even talk about it.
What? You didn't talk about it? No way.
Didn't say anything. He went to his room. I went to bed. Next morning, we get on the school bus.
What?
Yeah. The little girl that lives on the farm next to us, you could see it real far away. She all of a sudden sat on the bus seat next to me, never spoken to me before. And she gave me the elbow and she said, "Do you know why nobody talks to you on the bus and at school?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Because you live in Witch's house." I said, "What are you, what? Witch's house?" She said, "Yeah, like 100 years ago, talk is in town that there was a coven of witches that did their circular junk witches do out in the back of that property. Maybe that's why we heard our names being called. I don't know." And then she said, "Did you see the thunderstorm that knocked the tree down last night?" I looked at her, I said, "That wasn't a storm." And she never spoke to me again. That's all that happened there. And from
Oh my
then,
God.
all the paranormal garbage started after that.
Like what?
Oh God. I've got some notes to keep it chronologically. But
Sure.
if I tell you all this stuff, it'll go way too long and people will think I'm absolutely daft.
No,
So
no, don't even think for a second what anybody thinks. Not here. Now,
I'll
what do you think this is similar? You probably have looked into the Skinwalker Ranch stuff then, I'm guessing.
yeah, yeah.
Is it a lot of similar with what's going on there, do you think?
Um I don't know, it's just a lot of crazy, a lot of voices, the fly thing, just people not talking to. When we go into town, people wouldn't have anything to do with our family because we were living on that property, I'm assuming. But we weren't there really long enough to, like I said, after 2 months, my parents, they were packing up and we were out.
Yeah, well, even if there was a bunch of crap going on there in the past, like you guys knew, maybe somebody could have been friendly enough to said, "Hey, just so you know." You know what I mean?
If they did to my parents, I wouldn't have known about it.
Small towns are kind of weird, though. You know,
When
everywhere.
yeah, when I was little, my parents never discussed anything of a paranormal nature or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It just wasn't done then. So
So you did tell your parents about the UFO cracking the tree in half.
I don't remember telling them about it.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I had a pretty good memory for stuff back then, but
man,
I don't know.
what a sight to see that must have been.
I tell you, about 20 years ago, my brother and his wife and me and my kids met at my mother's house for a get together. And as he was walking out after it was over, his wife was there, and I said, "Hey Jeff, do you remember that UFO you and I saw on Bates Farm?" And I saw like 3, 4 different looks go over his face in a split second of like, I'd forgotten that. I can't believe you're bringing it up. And there's no way in hell I'd ever admit to it in front of my wife, who's in this religion that there's no way they would admit that
Oh
they were.
no, poor guy.
I've never seen so many looks go over a person's face so quickly. But
And he never took you aside later on when you're alone or nothing about that. Just wanted to go away.
yeah, we don't discuss anything like that.
That's too bad. It's too bad that we have that, and it's common, right? I mean, you can't blame him, but it's just such a characteristic that so many human beings share. It's unfortunate, you know.
I'll talk about anything. I don't care if people like it or not.
Me too.
I don't
We're
know.
good. I'm all over it.
Yeah.
So where are we now? So we've seen the tree get cracked in half, and then where do we go from there? Then what's next, and where?
Well, then like I said, I've lived in over 60 houses. Everything that happens that I'm going to bring up is in a completely different house.
Wow.
There's only three homes I've lived in that did not have some kind of paranormal something. So I'm
So
assuming it's following me.
have you ever been terrified?
Now,
You've never been terrified? You've never had the well, you've been following channel, you know how people describe the terror here. You've never had that?
there's only once I got that feeling, and I'll bring it in when I go down
Okay.
my little chronological list.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
lots of stuff happened in between, but I'm just going to bring out the big stuff.
Sure.
1975, when I was 16, my brother and sister had both aged and married and gone. It was just my mother, my father, and I living in the house that we'd been in for a couple years. By that time, we were kind of staying put for a year or two. So my mother got this genius idea to go to an antique store that she loved to go to, and she found this killer ornate carved bed. It was beautiful. It really was. And she put it in the room that used to be in my brother's before he moved out. So my sister and I always had twin beds, and I got tired of looking at them. Why have two beds if she's gone? So my mom got rid of those and brought that beautiful bed into my room. Now, the first night I slept on it, as soon as I laid down, just turned the lights off, got into bed. My parents were already asleep. I'd been watching TV late. The second I laid down, people say it's, what's that, where you're paralyzed sleep?
Right.
It wasn't that. I had just laid down. I was laying on my back, and all of a sudden, I tried to turn over. I could not move. Something was holding me down to the bed. What sleep paralysis? It wasn't sleep paralysis.
Oh.
It was pitch black in the room. Something was holding me down to the bed. Could not move. And I closed my eyes. And you know when you're laying out in the sun and you put something in front of your face, you can see it through your eyelids. When I closed my eyes, I could see something doing that. And then touching down my arms and my legs.
Oh.
And I was freaked out then. I wasn't screaming or anything because I couldn't, but it finally left after a couple minutes, and I got up and went into my parents' room and said, there's something wrong, something's going on in my bedroom. And my dad turned over and said, you have an active imagination, like they do to all kids. I don't do that when my kids ever told me anything, but that's what they said. So I didn't go back to bed. I went and slept on the couch in the living room.
I guess.
The next day, my both parents are thinking I'm full of crap. I'm at school, and my mother, after cleaning the house, decided to lay down, take a nap on that bed. And she didn't say anything to me. When I came home from school, everything seemed normal. My father came in after work, and the second he made it to the front door, she looked at him. She said, Dale, get rid of that goddamn bed.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't say what happened to her. She just said, get rid of that goddamn bed.
No way.
So he did. Yeah.
That's so weird. It's so weird that I can't make sense of that. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just can't. It's just so weird to me about either that pile of dirt right there where somebody may have been buried. You know what I mean? Or that boat, or that house, the bed. Why? Why attach yourself to these things? Do you know what I mean?
They say anything can be possessed. So.
Ew, gross. Hey.
But what he did, the first thing he did was take it outside, and where we kept our garbage cans, he leaned it up against the wall right outside my bedroom window. And I went out there. I said, what are you doing? What's 3 feet difference going to make? I said, get it off the property, please. Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, lucky listen to your mom.
Yeah, they weren't listening to me, that's for sure. Yeah, but yeah.
Holy cow. So with that touch in that feel, do you remember, like, was it cold? Was it warm? Was it skin? Was it hairy?
No, it just felt like somebody was running their fingers down my arm and my leg. It was weird.
Ew. Oh. I've never, one time, and I'll never forget this. I don't know why I'm not forgetting. This way before they changed my bedroom over. So I was like 5 years old, maybe. And I remember being so frustrated because, back then in the summertime, you got to go to bed. You can still hear everybody up at the ballpark, Yeah. I remember feeling my hair, something going like that with my hair. Just felt that 2 or 3 times in my head. And I remember feeling paralyzed, terrified because I knew nobody was in my room. That's the only time I ever had anything kind of odd happen, but I never forgot that.
Yeah. I haven't forgotten any of the crazy stuff that's happened to me.
So then what happened?
Let's see. Oh, I'm sure you've seen some cryptid shows where people talk about Hat Man, Flannel Man, Slender Man, that kind of crazy stuff.
No, I don't really watch much anything. I'm more right now. I just listen to all of you. Everybody here. That's where I am.
Well, there's a guy called Flannel Man.
That sounds a little familiar.
That appears to people. He's usually wearing like a red and black check flannel shirt, long sleeve flannel shirt, blue jeans, black biker boots, dark hair, beard.
Isn't this the bad guy that shows up law enforcement to intimidate people or something?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I don't know. But this is another place in Florida that I lived. It was 1997, and I just got married to another. I've been married a billion times. Got married to another guy.
A zillion.
Yeah, well, 6, but I don't know. If they're cruds, why hang around? You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Life's too short. Mm-hmm. So I married him, and he bought this house. It was in Titusville, Florida, on a lake. And it had one of those giant fireplaces like in ski lodges. You know how it's open on all 4 sides?
Yep.
This thing was huge. And a 20-foot ceiling. The whole living room was like fireplace. So I'm sitting there one day playing Nintendo, because Nintendo had just come out, Well, at least we just got one. Kids were at school, he was at work. And I look over, and the hearth is about 3 feet away from me on my left. And there's this guy standing up against the hearth like this, leaning against the hearth. He's got the black and red flannel shirt. He's got the blue jeans. He's got the black biker boots. He's got the black hair and the beard. And since this stuff started happening to me when I was small, I make sure I show zero reaction when I see something. Number one, I think it feeds it because I love fear. You know what I mean? So I show zero reaction. So I look over at him, and he looks down at me about 10, 12 seconds, and then he's just gone. So I go back to play my game because I'm used to this shit, right? So, I didn't get up and look around the fire. there.
I go back to playing my game.
I went back to playing Donkey Kong.
See ya. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. And then a couple days late, about a year later, he and I separated and I lived someplace else. But he spent a lot of time with my two girls. So he took them shopping in Orlando for stuff that I was not willing to pay for, like $200 boots that would fit him for a year. He had money. And I needed something from the house and I still had the key. So I went in one afternoon, and standing in the foyer when I walked in was a young girl, looked like she was about 21, 22, standing in the dining room with little short shorts on, a little crop top, long straight hair. She looked like a sweet little girl. She really did. But you could tell she was, 20-ish. Then she was gone. She was there for a few seconds and she was gone. And they came home about half an hour later, and he goes, "Hi, how's it going?" That, and the kids are saying, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" And I said, "Do you guys know a young girl about 20-ish that has long strawberry blonde hair and looks like she's in her 20s?" And my kids look at each other because they know he's dating this chick, right? So, yeah, he's in his late 30s. He's dating this girl. And he says, "It sounds like such and such." Can't remember what her name was. I said, "What was she wearing last time she was here?" And he described exactly what she was wearing. I said, "Well, she was just here for a few seconds. She was gone now."
How does that work? So you saw a person who is living currently, but you saw a version of her in the house that came and left.
And she wasn't opaque or anything. She was solid, standing right there. She just smiled at me, and she was gone.
This is almost like somebody or something giving you messages.
I don't know. Yeah. But also in that house, my youngest daughter, she also has had premonitions. She can see auras, ghosts, the whole 9 yards, just like me. My oldest daughter never saw anything, and it really irritated her that her sister and me saw everything. I mean, we couldn't drive past the cemetery. Lauren and I would look over and see your people, flitting between gravestones, stuff like that.
Crazy.
And she goes, "You see that, Mom?" I said, "Yeah." So we'd stop on the side of the road and look at it. And Summer says, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Where is it?" She never saw anything. So
I guess that would be frustrating if you lived with two people that could do all that and you couldn't. That'd be a little frustrating at times. Excuse me.
Well, it's not fun. And my daughter and myself never looked for it. You know what I mean? It was just a part of our life.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But my youngest daughter, while we lived in the same house with the flannel man and the young girl that moved, that disappeared, I was sleeping one night. It was about 2:00 in the morning, and I hear her scream, "Mom!" So I run all the way across the house. It was a huge house. Run all the way across the house. And she said, "He won't stop looking at me. He won't stop looking at me." And I stepped into her bedroom, and there was this thing standing next to her bed. Get this. This is even crazier than the UFO. Okay. And he's wearing a trench coat. He's about 3.5 feet tall. He's wearing a trench coat and a fedora. Okay. I can only see the back of him.
3.5 feet tall.
And about 1.5 wide. Short and stubby. All I can see is the back of him standing right next to her bed. So I grabbed the back of his coat and I pulled him away. And he turned around and ran over to the door. And I said, "Lauren, you're okay. I'm here." And I turned around and looked at him and I said, "You are not welcome here. You will not come here. I rebuke you. Do not come on this property." And I'm telling you, this thing's face, I'm not kidding you, was dressed like a man. It was wearing khaki long pants, black boots, like a London fog trench coat with the fedora, dark gray fedora, had the face of a frog.
It had what?
It had the face of a frog. It was a reptilian looking. Short, blunt nose, flat face, a face about this wide and about this tall. And it looked just like a frog.
And where did this being go?
He turned around while I was sitting on the side of her bed, and my other daughter's room was about 6 feet on the other side of the hall. He headed that way, so I jumped up to make sure he wasn't going into her room, and he just wasn't there. He was
Holy shit.
Yeah,
And
he was just...
Who do you even talk to about this when these things go
My
down?
kids, my kids, they're like, and my husband's at the time. They never saw any of the stuff, but they knew I wasn't crazy. And if I said I saw something, I said, I saw it.
And then your one daughter's seeing all the same things you've been seeing.
She doesn't see everything I see, and I don't see everything she sees, but we both see.
So is there a name for this? Is there like, I mean, obviously you're not the only one. There's a lot of people on the planet who have these similar,
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you want to call it? It's not powers or skills. It's just,
I
you're just,
wouldn't call it a gift, that's for sure.
yeah, you're just a member of another club that a lot of people aren't members of.
Well, they say it normally gets passed down through the mother's side of the family to daughters. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. My mother always told me whenever I told her something I'd see, my whole life she'd say, "You are so weird," you know. And then after about 5 years before she passed away, she said, all these years I've been telling you how weird you are. I've been thinking about it, and it occurs to me that when she was in like her late teens, early 20s, she had a period of 2 or 3 years in her life where she knew everything that was going to happen before it happened, and it would happen exactly like she thought. And she said, "So I guess maybe you're not so weird." I said, "No, Mom, it's passed down from mother to daughter."
So where did you go looking for information when you realized, not everybody was seeing and experiencing the same as you? Did you start, I mean, what do you do? Where do you go with that?
I didn't really look for information. It's just I'm retired now, so I have nothing but time on my hands. I spend about 16 hours a day online just watching videos of history, medical, politics, cryptids, everything. Just
Right.
everything. So
But
I just picked it up over the time.
but when you were younger, obviously you knew something's up when you were younger. But there's nowhere to go, right? What do you do with
Never occurred
that?
to me. Never occurred to me. I just knew that I was the only one in the family that saw this junk.
Did you know? Did you find out? Did it take long to find out there might be other people in the world that were having the same experiences?
Yeah, just through watching videos online and stuff.
Did you ever get to know anybody else or talk to anybody else?
Now, there was a person a couple months ago. There's a YouTube channel called What Lurks Beneath that he brings on people that, tell their true experiences. I just watched his videos. I never contacted him anyway. But down in his comments, he had an artist lady that was on there that would make drawings of people who saw Bigfoot, reptilian, stuff like that. I don't remember her name. But down in the comment, I said, "Yeah, I've seen a Sasquatch. I know they're real." And underneath it, I went back the next day, and underneath my comment in the comments, she said, what her name was, and she was the guy he was interviewing because she does this work. And she put underneath my comment, "I would really like to know more about your story. Can you contact me, please?" Now, she didn't give me any contact information, so I went on Facebook, looked her name up, and she was there. So I emailed, or I sent her a message. I don't know how all this junk works. Sent her a message through her Facebook. I said, "Yeah, I'd tell you more if you wanted to hear about it." Well, meanwhile, I watched another video, and I found out that she is connected with who's those people you always say you hate? BRO, BRO, you know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
the blah blah.
Dude, yeah, well, I found out that she goes on a lot of their outings. So I said, "Well, Steve said this woman's full of shit." So I didn't even bother.
Well, I'm not the one. I always teach room, but I always don't jump on my bandwagons. You know what I mean? Everybody has to go and find out for themselves. And there's a lot of, I do understand there is a lot of good people there, right? Like
Yeah.
and I do know, and they have contacted me. And the only reason they stay there is because they have access to all that information that they get. But my main beef is to what they did to innocent people.
Well, that's what it was. I've heard so many stories of negative stuff about them. I always thought, I only want these people to know who I am.
Right, I got you. Yeah.
I didn't contact them at that point.
Yeah. I mean, at this stage of the game, I hopefully, what was another part of my side missions was to take away any kind of authority some group or individuals might think they have and give it all back to us. Do you know what I mean? Every single one of us is just as important, if not way more than them. You know what I mean? I think our channel's proven that anyways. This is the way to go. We all speak openly, word for word, and everybody's exactly equal,
Well, what kind of tells you that is all the people that I've watched online that go out banging on the trees, doing all that, and they're the authority. They've never seen one.
Yeah, well.
It's people like me and you who are minding our own business, and all of a sudden, boom, it's in your face.
Yeah.
And we're not looking for recognition about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that tells me a lot.
Okay, so where did we leave off? So we're talking about the 3-foot person seeing things. Then what's
Okay.
next?
Yeah, so he and I split up, and I moved to another house in the same town, and it's a house on Carpenter Road on a golf course. And one day, it's a really big house, it's got a huge in-ground pool in the back, and it's got the whole back of the house nothing but sliding glass doors. There's like a row of 6 of them. You can open the whole back of the house. Well, the boyfriend's at work, the kids are at school, and I'm just coming down the stairs from making their beds, my kids' beds, and standing at the juncture where the windows go from the house to the pool area is Flannel Man leaning against the door jamb again. Only it's a different Flannel Man. Dressed exact same way, completely different face, but the dark hair, the beard, the whole 9 yards. Same shoes, same clothes, same everything.
And what's he doing?
He's just leaning against the door frame.
No speech.
No, nothing. Just looking at me. And I go, oh, Jesus, you again. Yeah.
What kind of a look? Is it just a blank look? A friendly look? Angry look?
Just staring. Yeah. So
and, you didn't feel, you weren't scared?
No, because I'd seen him before. I mean, I'm armed to the teeth. I have guns all over the place. If I
thought
if I thought he was human, he would be laying in the pool bleeding.
Good girl.
Yeah. I don't walk around my house without having something within reach.
Right. As everybody should.
Yeah. Nowadays, especially.
Yeah. Are you living rural right now?
No, I'm in a small town in Tennessee.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Land between the lakes. You know all the stories about land between the lakes. Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes away from that. So in that same house where Flannel Man was, the next night, or actually it was that night, I was laying in bed, everybody's asleep, and there's stairs that go down and then a landing, and then it crooks to go down another set of stairs. I hear thump, 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 thump up the stairs. So I get up and look. Of course, there's nothing there. I go and lay back down in bed, and I hear thump, 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 thump. Somebody heavy booted was going back downstairs. So the next day, I get one of those motion sensor squawk alarms that if anything passes, and I mounted it on both on the stairs. So if anything walked past it, it would trigger. So the next night, it's screaming like crazy. And I'm hearing the thump, thump, thump. Nobody else in the house hears any of this stuff. So I get up and I turn it off, and then nothing happened after that. And then we moved out. So, yeah. So the next house I bought after that was right down the street in 2000. And between our is this getting too long for you?
No, God, no. Keep going.
Okay. We have a family room. It's just me and my girls. I've given up on guys. Between my family room and the garage, which is completely closed, you can only get into the garage if you lift the whole garage door up.
Right.
That's the only way you get access, besides this door to the house. So several times there's like 3 glass panes. Half of it's wood, the top half is just, sheer glass. I would walk from like the living room or the bedroom into the kitchen, like to make dinner or do whatever I'm doing. And there would be this guy with his face pressed up against the glass of the door. Red, shaggy, long, dirty, nasty, nappy looking hair. Is a white guy, scruffy, but he'd have his face smashed up against the window. So of course I grabbed my gun and I went into the garage to see if somebody, had broken in. Nobody in there. My youngest daughter saw him twice. I saw him 3 times. My oldest daughter never saw him.
Anytime at daytime?
Happened once by itself. It would be like one interval. I'd see him, and then a couple days later, she'd see him, and it would go on that way. But during a hurricane, where we had everything battened down, the hurricane was outside, blowing like crazy. And my youngest daughter and I were in the kitchen, and he did the stick his face in the window thing. And she looked at me, she said, "Did you see that guy?" I said, "Yeah, I saw him. I've seen him before." She said, "I've seen him too."
Shit.
Yeah. And we went out and checked, and of course, everything's locked up.
Lucky there's no bullet holes in the windows.
Yeah.
Really,
Well,
right?
like I said, this stuff happens so much to me. I zero reaction. I go and look, and if something's there, it's there. If it's not, it's never been there when I go look. You know what I mean?
Right.
As soon as you make eye contact, you can see it peripherally all the time. We always had stuff walking past us in our peripheral vision, but as soon as you turn and put your eyes on it, it's gone.
1 second. I have to
Yeah.
let Princess in the door, otherwise she's going to keep barking, all right?
Yeah.
So funny. Have you got a dog?
No, I have 2 cats.
Hold on a minute. You see that thing?
Yeah, she's adorable.
Yeah. And then she's got that funny window licker smile on her face. How, dogs just smile.
She knows you're getting up.
Hold on a minute, puppy. Here I come.
She knows you're getting up.
Come here. Coming in? Okay, wait. Just hold on. All right. Sorry. Yeah, well, I broke my my Starlink. We have a Starlink here in the house, the dish for the internet, and then I have a whole different one that I put on the shop. And when I leave to go out to the boat, I unplug it and I take it to the boat. And I guess I finally busted something on it, so it's broken. So we got to be in the house until I get a new one.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I didn't even write this down. This is crazy. I've had 6 different family members work out at Kennedy Space Center. You know, NASA.
No way.
Okay, yeah. So I was married to this one guy named John that worked out there. He was a quality engineer, inspecting all the parts and all that. I don't know if this has anything to do with paranormal, but it's certainly crazy. There was a point where he started arguing with me, picking little fights over anything because he wanted to move on. Right? So at one point, for a week period, it was only like 5 or 6 days, every afternoon, our telephone in the house would ring. It was a landline. And I'd pick it up and say hello, and nobody's responding to me. But what I hear is him on the phone with a woman at work discussing how they're going to meet, where they're going to meet, blah, blah, how they had lunch, that whole 9 yards. Then it would end, and I would hang up. Now, this went on for 5 or 6 days.
What?
It went on for 5 or 6 days. When he'd come home from work, somewhere in the evening in the conversation, I would work in verbatim the conversation he had with this chick at work, right? And he thought I was a witch.
How did you pick all these winners anyway?
I don't know. But he got so concerned about it that he talked to one of his friends at Kennedy Space Center. And the guy I told him how I knew what he said. And they ripped their whole operation apart trying to figure out how their phone tapped into our phone. And they came to the conclusion it is physically impossible that the phones out at Kennedy Space Center could have called our phone at the house.
Got some crazy shit going on.
I don't know if that's paranormal, but I still smile about it when I hear it, because if you could see the look on his face.
I know, but something is going on with you. You know what I mean? Something is going on with you and somebody else. You got a fairy godmother, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Somebody's with you.
Yeah. Well, you read one of my emails out loud also about I made a comment that when I drive at night under streetlights, they go out as I go by, and in your video you said, please have somebody film.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember something about that. But I had a handful of people tell us that they.
Yeah, I got nobody here that'd be willing to sit in the car and drive around with me, because it doesn't happen every time, but it happens a couple times a month. You never know when it's going to happen, and I can't make it happen.
A couple times a month?
Yeah, it just and it also does it with my younger daughter. When all 3 of us are in the car, if she's with me, happens all the time.
Well, all you got to do is put a GoPro on the dash.
I didn't even know what a GoPro was when all this stuff was going on. I didn't even have a cell phone at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, like I said, it's just, it still does it occasionally. It just did to me 2 nights ago when I went out at Walmart at 1 o'clock in the morning. As soon as I pulled up to a street light on our main drag in town, they just started clicking off as I went by. So it's like, okay. It's
weird.
Weird. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but my stepfather, after my parents divorced, my mother married a man that worked out at Kennedy Space Center for like 35 years. He was an engineer, really high up there. And they bought a summer home in West Virginia just to spend, 3 months in the summertime. They live in Florida. So when they got there, it used to be my dad and my grandfather did all the painting and wallpapering. But she knew I was the only one left that could do that. So they invited me up to wallpaper their new house. It was like some 3-story something on the side of a hill. It was a really nice house. But I started, I papered the bathrooms upstairs and the bedrooms and all that. And it got to the point where on the third day, I went downstairs to do their living room. Well, my stepfather's there trying to watch a golf tournament. The man watched golf tournaments like they were, you know what I mean? Had to watch the golf tournament. Well, I started papering one wall, and I was up on a 6-foot ladder, and I was papering the wall. And every time I got up on the ladder and then stepped onto the mantle to move over to reach the wall, because there was real high ceilings, his TV would start changing channels. It would flip to different channels. And then I'd get down to go get another piece of paper, and the TV would come back. And then I'd get back up there to do it. It did this like 4 times. And he looked at me, sitting on a lazy boy. He looks at me, he goes, I don't know what you're doing to the TV. I said, I got something going on with me. I've always had more electricity than everybody else. This weird stuff always happens. He told me what it was called, people that have more electricity in them than average. I can't remember what he said it was. But he knew what it was. NASA engineer, right? He knew what it was. He goes, could you please go to some other room until I'm done with this? So I went into another room. So, yeah, I got some kind of electricity, something weird going on. I don't know.
And he was familiar with the condition, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he was.
He
told me some name that sounded like it was 25 letters long. And
right. Well, I'll guarantee you there's going to be there's going to be people listening who can relate to what you're saying. There's going to be a lot of people that can't. Who cares? But there's going to be a bunch of people that can relate to what you're saying. They are going to be commenting about this, guaranteed, in the comment section.
I can't wait to see the comments.
All right, but that's how we find everything out. That's the only way. Everybody's got to be able to talk freely, without shame, without being embarrassed. Just let it out. Just let it out, and give it a chance to form a pattern. Just give it a chance, no matter how crazy it is. This is the only way to do it.
No, this has been my whole life. Like during the winter, I can't even touch my pets at all. During the winter months, you know how when you walk across carpet and you touch something, it'll give you a shock. I can't even get near them. I have no carpet in my house at all. But all during the winter, if I've been down to to pet my cats, a little arc will go from my finger and like buzz their ear or the back of their head, and they will take off like a bat out of hell.
No doubt.
Yes, it's crazy. I think 2 years ago, I was in Walmart at night, and I was going down the canned goods aisle, and there was another guy all the way at the other end of the aisle, probably about 30 feet away. And he and I are the only two, and we're facing each other. So he's looking at me, and I reached out to grab a can off the shelf, and about at least 12 inches from the can, a blue arc shot out of the end of my finger and hit that can, and he saw it. And
no.
This, and I just turned around and went to another aisle. He had a look on his face like, what kind of a,
Yeah. So do you get a jolt from that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to start grounding yourself out more. You walk around your bare feet much on bare ground?
Outside, yeah, I do that every day for 10 minutes.
Good.
Against trees, walking. Yeah, I know all about that.
Yeah, good.
Doesn't seem to help.
You might even have to get a little light copper cable and put it around your ankle and have it drag it on the ground like a vehicle with a ground cable,
I don't know. I wear shungite necklaces and all kinds of crazy stuff that they say interacts, blocks all that stuff, but
right.
Nothing working, so I don't know.
So how far away from the Sasquatch encounter are we?
Pretty soon. Oh, you'll love this. This is paranormal, I think. 2012, I moved to a duplex. I've lived here for 20 years. I've lived in like 11 places here already. But I moved to a duplex here. I'm in Paris, Tennessee. In 2012, moved to a duplex. My boyfriend at that time messed up his car and had to use my car for him to get to work. So we're living in this duplex, and across the street there's this old couple that has pine trees all over their front yard. It's not really in the city, but it's not really rural either. It's like right on the outskirts. So one afternoon, I go outside. We didn't smoke in the house. I'm a smoker. I don't like smoking in the house because it stinks the house up. So I'd always go outside. Well, one afternoon, I went out, sat on the front porch, and one of the big pine trees right across the street, about 20 feet away from me, everything's fine. I look up, and there's this giant fireball that just came to be there. It wasn't there when I went outside. And it's about the size of a basketball, really sharp defined lines. And you know how the flame goes up in like a whip? It was red, orange, and yellow. Was burning on the bottom limb of this pine tree. And I sat there and watched that for 2 or 3 minutes. And I was done smoking. So I got up and I made sure it wasn't burning the tree down or anything. There was no fire anywhere else. It was just on that limb. So I turned around to open the door and turned around and looked back, and it was gone. And then I opened the door, and the chain is across the door. You know how you lock people out with the chain? Nobody's home. Nobody could put that chain on. I could not get in that house. I had to sit there for 3 hours till my boyfriend got home from work and kicked the door open. So
Weird. There's a chain on the outside?
No, it was on the inside. I could only open the door this far as that little chain would allow you to.
But you couldn't get
outside. Something chained it from the inside.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just hundreds of just really weird stuff.
Random, weird ass shit.
Yes. It's just weird.
Well, somebody can relate to this. I'm gonna put money on it. Somebody can relate to what you're sharing right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we'll go to the Sabe.
Right.
I'm skipping a whole bunch of stuff, but we're gonna go to the Sabe.
All right.
On forever. So 2013, I met a guy online, one of the dating apps for, seniors. And we dated a few times. We liked each other, had everything in common. We still have great conversations. But we got married, and I moved to his place outside of Clarksville, Tennessee, which is about an hour and a half maybe from Nashville. So I moved in, and his family has lived on that property well over 100 years. Different generations, and it is rural, but every couple acres there's a house sporadically around. So we both have insomnia, so we're always up at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, always.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he's sitting in his lazy boy, and I'm sitting on the couch with the house wall right next to it. Now this isn't a mobile home; it's a house on a foundation. And as soon as I moved in. We'd be sitting watching TV late at night, and bam, biggest smack on the side of the house you've ever heard. And he looked over and he said, "You think a big tree branch just fell on the roof?" I said, "There are no trees above the roof." So we had no idea. Sabe was not even on my radar, never even discussed it, thought it, or watched anything about it. No idea. This went on like every other night for a couple weeks. Then one weekend, my kids and my grandkids come and visit. They're all out on the front porch because we're supposed to be going into town to have dinner and shop. Just me and the girls. The husbands stay behind. He's not a shopper. Okay. So the kitchen in this house, it's built on a hill. So the bottom of the windowsills from the outside of the house are between 8 and 8.5 high off the ground. So I'm walking from the front porch into the bedroom to grab my purse to go, and I have great peripheral vision because of all the junk over the years. I've really become attuned to what's going on.
No doubt.
On the sides. And I'm about ready to turn into the bedroom, and the kitchen's about 15 feet across from where I am in the kitchen window where the sink is. And I see this bright pinkish orange glow. So I whip my head over and I look at it, and it's 2 eyeballs. I don't know if you're old enough to do you remember methylate and mercurochrome? It's pink with just the slightest touch of orange to it. Would really stain your skin. It's pinkish orange. Well, it's a set of eyes looking at me, and there's this head looking at me like this from the side of the window, not touching the glass, but right there. And I'm looking at it like, I said out loud, because my husband was in the TV room, I said, "Hey, there's some guy, kinda, looking at me through the kitchen window." Because it wasn't human, but it looked human. You know what I mean? No humans have those eyes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they don't. But it wasn't. He had to have been at least 9 feet tall because the windowsill's 8.5, and he wasn't jumping up to look. He was coming from the side. So I
Wow.
saw him from here. I saw him from here down. I actually sent you a picture of it that my oldest daughter, she's an artist, she drew to show you a picture of what he looked like. I sent it to your True Talk, but
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. I can hold it up on the phone and show you, but
It's all right. I'll put it. I'll put it in. If you send it there, Sarah's got it then.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I sent you one of a 9th century manuscript that showed a Sasquatch carrying a woman off into the woods. And yeah, 9th century. And then the picture my daughter drew.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But I'll give you, okay. So I'm sitting there, sitting there looking at him, standing there looking at him. And then all of a sudden, I have no idea how this happened. I didn't move to my recollection, but I was standing right in front of him. There was no glass. There was no sink. He was right there, and I was right there. We were about a foot apart.
In the house.
I don't know if it was in the house or out of the house. It was just me and him. There was nothing, no surroundings.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just me and him.
So give us a description.
Yeah, I mean, he had a look. I wouldn't say menacing. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't grimacing. His face never moved. He never blinked. Mouth never moved. And I was right in front of him. And he had the craziest hair you've ever seen in your life. You know how mink hair goes different gradations of color from the scalp to the tip? Okay, well, his his hair was flax colored. I don't know if you know what flax is.
Yeah.
It's kind of a blonde, but more of a tan.
Right.
His hair and his face were flax. His face was not hairy.
Black.
At all.
Oh, did you say black?
No, flax.
Okay.
Okay. So he had a slate cone head. And his hair started flax for about 3/4 of an inch. Then it went to strawberry blonde for about 1/4 of an inch. And the tip, about 1/4 or 3/4 of an inch, was very silvery gray, white. But the weird thing about it was his hair was about 3 or 4 inches long in some places. Every 4 inches, he had a tuft. You know, like when you make an ice cream cone, how it comes out fat and then goes
Right.
skinny at the top and it's twisted.
I gotcha. Okay.
Every 4 inches, he had a tuft of that where it started out puffy and then twisted at the end and did a little curl. That's not in the picture my daughter drew because she didn't understand what I was saying.
Okay.
So she just made his hair, you know, how she thought it would look.
Sure.
But, he had a little bit of a protruding brow, a little bit of a conical head, the pinkish orange backlit irises. He had white sclera, looked like human eyes, but they were backlit. They weren't illuminating, but they were backlit. And they were the pinkish orange. His nose was very human. Have you seen a Romanesque nose? What they call a Romanesque nose?
Yeah.
Like aquiline, very thin, very nice looking, downward facing nostrils. There was nothing ape-like about it. He had a regular face like a human. His mouth was so wide, it almost took up the circumference of his face.
Right.
Very thin lips. Didn't see the teeth. He never opened his mouth. And I only saw him from here up. So what he had going on hair-wise down there, I have no clue. So I was looking at him, and he let me touch his hair. I touched his hair. It was very soft. And all of a sudden, I was back at the doorway, making that turn into the bedroom where I was originally headed to get my purse. Don't know how it ended. Don't know how I got there. I have no idea what happened. I don't know. Not a clue. I don't know if he beamed me over, beamed me someplace else. I don't know. Or was just doing it in my mind. I have no idea. But I could feel his hair. I was touching him.
It wasn't coarse.
No, it's very soft. Super soft. Very soft and clean.
Could you even tell if he was breathing?
I couldn't tell anything. He nothing moved facially at all.
Wow.
He didn't even look. He was looking at me. That was it. Never blinked, never anything like that. Then I was back at that door, making the turn in to get my purse. I turned around, went back out onto the porch, and I poked my head back in the door where my husband was sitting, and I said, I saw a man, kind of, guy, something, looking at me through the kitchen window. And he'd already heard all my stories, so he was like, So I went out on the porch where all the kids and the grandkids were waiting, and we piled into the car and went. And of course, I looked on the side of the house because that's where we park, and there was nothing there. And then after that, I was not thinking Sasquatch. I was thinking evil spirit, or God only knows. There's an old from the 1700s cemetery on that property, about 100 feet from the house, that the gravestones are so old that you can only barely tell that one of them says 17 something. Can't read anything on them. Wow. And they're all knocked over on the ground. So I thought it was like an evil spirit. So, but after that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, keep going.
Oh yeah. So after that day, it was in the summertime. I decided to put a little pool up on the side of the house for my grandkids when they came to visit on the weekends. And it was about, I don't know, not quite 3 feet high, but just one of those soft side pools. You know what I mean? And they'd swim. And I bought them all kinds of diving rings and diving sticks, the things that sink to the bottom so they wouldn't blow off in the wind or anything. So when they were done swimming, I'd throw them all in the pool in the center, and we'd go on about our business. Well, next day we'd come out. Every one of those bright neon-colored diving sticks and rings were scattered all over the yard. They're everywhere. Okay, up to this point, who knew? But I was just recently moved in. There hadn't been kids on that property for a generation,
Right.
So we'd throw them all back in. The kids would swim. That went on for about a week. And the kids went home because it was summertime. And I went out there about a week later, and they were, again, all thrown out. And my husband's saying, well, maybe it's raccoons. I mean, raccoons aren't going to swim in 3 feet of water to grab out every diving stick in a pool and chuck it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was standing about 20 feet away from the pool. Had no problems with it. And I just said to the air, to whatever. I looked at the pool, and all the junk's all on the lawn again. I said, apparently something living here does not like kids having a swimming pool here. That's what I said. And right when I said that, when you're going to cave a pool in and you step on it, it goes out and the water comes out. It caved in like something had stepped on it. Nothing was there. Had stepped on the side, and all the water flew out of the pool. So the next day I tore it down and threw it away.
Broad daylight.
Broad daylight. Nothing there that I could see. But it didn't just collapse because of weight of water. Something stepped down and indented, because it went into the pool, not out of the pool.
Some flattened out one side, drained the water. Right in front of you.
Yep.
Oh my God. Holy cow. Were you scared?
No.
Of course not.
None of this stuff has ever scared me. It never has.
Isn't that weird too? That's kind of odd.
Now comes the scary part, because this is the one time I did get the dread. About 2 months later, like I said, we didn't smoke in the house. About between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, we had a great big wooden porch on the front of the house. And it's all cleared out in front. The trees don't come into play in the yard for like 20 feet away from the side of the house. So I went out, and as soon as I stepped out on the porch, it was completely black. I never turned the lights on to go out there at night because we had foxes and possums and all kinds of stuff that it scared, and I fed them all. So I didn't want to scare them. So I stepped out in the dark, and as soon as I closed the door to my back, the edge of the porch is about 8 feet long before you hit the side of the house. There was something there. Nothing I could see. But you know when something is that, like someone walks up behind you, you can feel their presence before they ever reach you.
Yeah.
It was that, and it was so heavy that I had the pain in my chest, and your guts drop. And I still didn't I wasn't freaking out or anything, because I'm used to this junk. But I've never had that fear. But I had that fear then, and I knew something was standing there. And I lit my cigarette, and I looked over that way, and I said, I know you're there, and you're not scaring my ass back into the house. So I finished my cigarette. Nothing happened. That feeling stayed for about a minute or two. And then I had a huge set of bamboo wind chimes hanging in the tree about 10 feet away. No wind at all. All of a sudden I hear, with the bamboo chimes, click, 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 click.
Mm.
It did that rhythm about 5-6 times. I said, okay, I get it. You're musical. Finished my cigarette, put it out, went back in the house. So, I don't know. Crazy
That'd
stuff.
be creepy.
Mm.
That'd be really creepy.
That's the only time I've had any kind of fright whatsoever.
So what do you think that was?
Well, I have no idea. It could have been something from the cemetery. It could have been the thing looking in the window. Now I've since divorced. Well, we didn't divorce. We separated, and I moved out. I moved about an hour away and bought my own house. But my husband and I keep in contact. We talk a couple times a week. He said he has seen the same thing look in the window once since I left.
He said what?
He saw the thing look through the kitchen
He
window.
did.
Once.
No way.
But he said none of that has ever happened in all their generations before I got there.
Your fault.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so.
So did it scare him?
Nah.
No?
I already told him about it. He's a big he's an 18-year Army vet.
Oh yeah, okay.
We just, he'd wring your neck if you said anything to him. No.
Right.
It did.
So had he had any experiences or did you guys talk about Bigfoot, Sasquatch at all?
We talked about it that night, mentioned it while we were watching TV. And the next day we were talking about it a little bit more. Neither one of us we didn't talk about Sasquatch. We talked about the guy that was looking through the window. Because Sasquatch wasn't on the radar.
Right.
And weird. And then we started talking about a bunch of crazy politics stuff. And I shit you not. This is going to kill you. The road they live on, he's got this piece of property. It's got his mother's house. And then there's a driveway, which is actually a named street on maps, but it's a dead end. It dead ends right behind the house where there's a spring. I mean, the pavement just stops and it goes down a hill behind the house. And then there's our house. So we're like 300 feet away from each other.
Right.
Right after we had this conversation, and the conversation was about how everybody's talking about how your phones and your TVs and everything is spying on you and watching you, you know what I mean, and recording you and all that stuff. We talk about everything. So we were just having that conversation, and about 20 minutes later, we hear a car coming down the street, but we call it a driveway because it only goes to our property. And I go out on the front porch and I look, and I'm not kidding you, 2 black suburban SUVs, government plates, are pulling past the house. They have no idea that road doesn't continue on so that they can just do I don't know what we're doing here, drive by,
Mm-hmm.
They're allowed to go to the spring bottom and turn around and come back right back up the driveway. There's no place else to go.
Right.
And I stepped out in the road when I heard them coming back, and I put my hand up to stop them. That's like, what the hell are you doing on our property? What do you want? And they wouldn't even stop. They wouldn't roll down the window. They just went off. They just went down and gone. But that was kind of weird that it happened the next day.
Pretty weird.
He said
who knows what went on that something? Who knows? You know what I mean? He could be anything, really.
He said they've been back once since I left.
Really? They talked to him?
That was 10 years ago.
They didn't talk to him?
Nah, he wouldn't even bother to go out.
So do you know anybody who has seen a Sasquatch?
No.
Nobody.
The only way I thought it could possibly be a Sasquatch is because during COVID lockdown, when we were all stuck in front of our computers at home, I found your station, your channel, never even talked about it to anybody ever, and I started listening to all the stories, and just too much of it jibed, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure. The patterns, right?
Smacking on the house that the foundation's moving, seeing the thing in the window, all the junk thrown all over the yard. I'm assuming.
The smacking on the house and the face in the window, that's a pretty common episodes. I haven't had anything looking in the window at me yet, but I've been in the cabin getting beat up.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it looks so much human that if you didn't know anything about Sabe, like I wasn't onto it then, you would have assumed it was just some crazy idiot looking in your window. But being that the eyes were pink, orange, and backlit, I knew it wasn't human.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't seen that yet. Eyeballs glowing in the distance. Well, I've got something weird on my trail camera a handful of years ago. That was just weird. Who knows what it was? I don't know. We don't have fireflies up here, so I don't know. But I haven't seen eyes glowing.
Well, so many people that see them say that some of them have completely all black eyes, some of them have blue eyes, some of them have red eyes that you see at night and stuff like that. I've never seen it. I've never heard one yell on that property. I've never had mine speak. I've never had any of that happen. But, when I went away, most of the problem went away, and it followed me to the house I'm in now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I bought this house in 2016 after my youngest daughter passed away. And the very first day I was here, I just bought a modest little house. It's just me. It's called a Victorian cottage.
Right.
This cottage is 4,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Bedroom, 3 bath. It's humongous.
Right.
It's a humongous house. I thought my daughter and my grandkids were going to move in. That's why I bought it. But
Right.
she died the next day.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. So I went to the neighbors the first day I was here after everything got loaded in and asked them when garbage pickup day was, that kind of stuff. And it happened to be the next day. So there's a great big deck in the back that holds, a couple cars. And my driveway is about 50, 60 feet long. So I went back there to get garbage cans. And as I was turning around, it was just at dusk. This is going to sound crazy, and I feel stupid doing it. But right in my left ear, as I was turning around to go down the driveway, I hear this. Ooh-wee. That's the noise. Ooh-wee. And it was so close to my left ear that I felt the breath of it hit my ear. So I'm thinking, crazy person. So I jacked my arm up and with all my force push on because I was going to wreck this guy's face, whoever it was. I was going to jack him up. But there was nothing there. There's nothing there. So I don't know about that, but in this house at night when you're laying down, there's so many stairways because it's a huge house.
Right.
And it's over 100 years old.
So overall, what do you think's going on?
I have no idea. I don't think I'm possessed. I know I've never been abducted by an alien or any of that kind of, at least I don't think so,
Right.
But just great. Ever since that UFO sighting, it has been nonstop paranormal crap all the way.
Crazy. Are you very spiritual?
I grew up in the most spiritual family that as soon as I turned 18, I could not get far enough away from it fast enough.
Right.
A lot of it I believe. Most of it they told me I don't because it just doesn't make sense. Do I believe there's something? Yes. Do I think it's all that they told us it is? No, I do not.
Right.
I've seen and read too much historical junk to believe most of it.
Yeah.
I think it was just invented to control people and make money. That's
What
what I
it
think.
was. It's working pretty good. It's making a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah, they make well, not as much as drugs and sex, but they make a lot of money.
Yeah. So what does scare you?
Seeing one of my children hurts. That's the only thing that would move me to any kind of, out crazy emotion.
Right.
But as far as I am, or my kids, their whole lives, their thing was hiding around a corner, and they'd wait for me to walk down like a hallway. They'd jump out and do this thing, boom, and I would never even flinch.
Really?
And it irritated the Jesus out of them because I was so attuned to things being there when I least expected it.
Nobody ever got you.
Nope. I was conditioned to not show any reaction whatsoever.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, this is what I'm in now is like I've never had a poltergeist here, but there's things here. At night when you're laying down, you can hear something tromping up and down the stairs, and there's nobody here but me and the cats. No way the cats are walking up and down stairs in army boots. You know what I mean? My oldest daughter, might have been like 4 or 5 years ago. I've been here 9 years. I think 4 or 5 years ago, there's a weird bedroom in the back of the house where crazy shit happens. I hear things moving around when I'm in. I've only ever slept in there once. That was plenty for me. I don't go in that room. I use it for storage. But there's twin bed in there. And my oldest daughter, who has never seen anything and was upset about it, she spent the night and slept in that bed. And she's a cool cucumber. She's like me. But she said she woke up and she knew it was early morning. It was pitch black outside. and standing at the edge of this, at the bottom of the bed, where the footboard is, was a huge something standing there. I have 9-foot ceilings. She said it was bent forward because if it stood erect, it would bang its head on the ceiling. It was right at the foot of the bed. She said she couldn't see its face because it was wearing, you know, the old monk's robes that have that hood, that cowl. It was pitch black, not pitch black in the room, but you could see by moonlight. But she couldn't see its face. And she said this thing had real wide black and beige stripes on whatever this robe is this thing was wearing. She got up. She didn't say anything. She didn't freak out. She got up. Check this out. This is my girl. She put her hand against its stomach and slowly pushed it towards the door and then closed the door on it. And that was it. And then when she woke up the next day and I was making lunch, she told me about it. And it's like, well, you always said you wanted to see something. You know, you're always, but you never got to see anything.
So she doesn't have any guns under the pillow.
No. Oh, they think I'm wacky for all the arms I have. Or one day they're going to be happy that grandma is loaded to the teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Crazy. But, yeah, I don't know what to say to all this. What do we even say to all this?
There's hundreds of things I'm not even telling you. One of the other weird things here, that same back bedroom. And when I bought this house, like I said, it's over 100 years old. I do everything. I stripped it all out, redid all 3 bathrooms. The only thing left to do is the kitchen because I don't want to. Well, I've got arthritis in my knees now from doing all this junk, so I can't do it myself. But I know every square inch of this house from the floor to the ceiling because I've replaced baseboards. I've done the whole. So while I'm living here, I have 2 cats. One's white, one's a tortoiseshell. And sometimes I come home from, you know, being out shopping or whatever. These are not outside cats. They never go outside because I've had to pick up my dead cats out of the road and that ain't happening. They're inside cats. I will pull into the driveway and they will both be sitting in the driveway, or one of them will be sitting in the driveway. And I get out of the car and I'll say, P, Puff, what are you doing out here? And nobody lives with me and the doors aren't open. And I will go to the front door. There's 2 doors you have to unlock to get in the house. As soon as I open the second door, they're sitting right there in the house looking at me. How the hell are they getting out of this house? It's happened several times. It's even happened in front of other people.
Right.
And they're sitting right at the front door going, oh, where you been? You know? Yeah. So how are they getting in the driveway? How are they getting back in? There's no place for them to get out.
Have you ever talked to a one of those, what do you call them, medium or a psychic or anything?
I did about 30 years ago, but it had nothing to do with any of this stuff.
Right.
And the very first thing out of this woman's mouth was, Judith, why are you calling me? You already have more powers than I do. You're already psychic. Anything that you're going to ask me, you already know the answer to. And I said, that's true. You're right. And I hung up. That saved me a bunch of money. She did tell me I used to be an animal shaman.
You already have the answers, but it doesn't sound like you have any answers.
Well, you know I haven't dug for them. I haven't dug for them because I think the more you look into this junk, the more you open yourself up to God knows what. I'm already having enough problem without looking for any of it than to take that chance.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You wanted to go talk to the Sabe?
What?
Like you've mentioned that you're ready to go out and talk to a Sabe. Have you seen on YouTube? There's a guy that's been on YouTube for years. Don't remember what his name is, but he has a Sabe that lives on his property, several, but there's one of them that he's been talking to for years. I don't know if this thing told him his name was Neff or this guy named him Neff, N-E-F. If you could hear the voice of this thing, you should listen to Neff before you go do that because the voice alone will make you shit your pants.
Oh, no, I've heard that. We've actually exchanged emails, too.
Oh, my God. Have you heard the voice on that thing?
Yeah.
That would make me freak. Hearing that.
So there is something that might scare you.
Yeah, I can see whatever. It doesn't. I've seen people killed in front of me.
Ooh.
Hearing that voice, I would totally lose it. Yeah.
So you wouldn't go camp? You would go camping out in the woods by yourself?
Well, I've gone out camping lots of times, but it was way before I knew anything about Sabe. So
Would you now?
I don't have any. If somebody wanted to go camping with me, I have no friends or family living in the state anymore, so
Right.
I'm going to do it myself. I don't even have the stuff to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I got enough problems without going out looking for it. So
Yeah. It's funny they had quite a connection with a lot of people that worked for the NASA.
yeah,
And I wonder, but you never heard any direct, like, odd stories coming out of that court.
no, they've never ever said anything about anything. They always look at me when I tell them when the Challenger blew up. 5 days before that thing went off, my husband owned a bowling alley, and I worked in there with him. And everybody that came in, I bowled like 5 leagues a week. I would say, space shuttle's going to blow up when it goes up in 5 days, right? And sure as shit, the morning that it did, I was laying in bed with my kids, and my husband came in. He says, "Hey, the space shuttle just blew up." I said, "I told you that 5 days ago."
Mm.
And then someone from NASA actually came, because the people I was telling in the bowling alley actually came and asked me how I knew that was going to happen.
No doubt. Right?
Like I had something to do with it or whatever. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I have premonitions. I knew 5 days ago." Or it could be the people at NASA, when they have lunch, drive all the way in and get drunk at our bar and go back out to work. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know.
So where do you go from here? So where is your interest leading you, or your gut leading you? Anywhere, or do you just don't really care too much? Just living with whatever happens. Don't need to go digging any deeper, or how you just.
I'm not digging any deeper. Sometimes I do my craft sitting at the dining room, at the dining room table, and there's a window like right next to me. This house is nothing but giant old antique windows. And when I'm sitting there doing crafts, I know something's at the window a foot away from me on the left, and there's nothing but rose bushes there, so people stay away from the windows. And I know something's there. I can feel it, and I get the sulfur, nasty smell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't acknowledge it. One time I did. I said, "Jesus, God, you stink." And then the smell dissipated, and it went away.
How many times have you smelled the smell?
About 3 times in this house.
Really?
Yeah. And that's the only place I've ever smelled it.
Have you had the walls beat on at that house?
Nope. I've had a lot of limbs fall on the roof, but no.
Right.
The only other 2 things that's happened here, besides my whole life, my junk gets taken, like my keys, my cigarettes, anything that I was sitting there holding all day. In every house I've ever lived, something takes my junk, and then after I tear the whole house apart looking for it, even though I know damn well where I put it, I'll come back and sit down, and there it is. That's been going on my entire life.
So have you ever asked whoever these beings are, have you ever said aloud, "Just leave me alone"?
No, because I know all the people that have done that, of all the things I've watched, they say it makes the activity worse. So I just do not acknowledge at all. If they're coming to me for a scare, they're wasting their time.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not going to feed them. But the only 2 things left, besides junk moving around and being taken, we always call, even when my kids were growing up, we said, "Oh, the gremlins have been here." Or if I'm in a hurry, the keys will disappear as I'm going out the door, and I say, "I don't have time for this shit. I got somewhere to go."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I can tear my purse apart 12 times in front of people, and what I'm looking for is not there. And then I'll say, "Here, you go through it." And nobody moving, nothing happening. It's right there. It's right there. Like 2 months ago, I was sitting in here in the TV room, and the living room, or the entrance door to the house, is to my left about 6 feet, and I have French doors in between all of that. And I got up to go get a drink, and from underneath my front door, which has 0 gap in it, there is no gap. It's got rubber on both sides. There's no gap. This thing about 13 inches long and about 6 inches wide, black and fuzzy and flat as a pancake, came squirting underneath that door in front of me and was like slithering, like a million little legs like a millipede, and ran underneath my stereo cabinet. And I ripped everything away from the wall because I was not sleeping in a house that had something like that in it. It was lightning fast, And I tore that room apart, and there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. And then 4 nights ago, I was sitting in here watching videos. And in the living room from the front door, I have 2 cats. They were both on the back of the couch watching me. And some black animal sped through the living room towards the kitchen. It's like butt was up in the air, and it was low. It was about 3 feet long, jet black. I don't know anything that, I don't know a dog or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, it hauled ass from the front door into the dining room, and both cats freaked out and became all claws and jumped off the couch. And of course, I got my gun. I had a shotgun sitting right next to me. And I go in after it, whatever it is. There's nothing in the house. Nothing in the house. But that, I got one more story for you.
All right.
You're going to love this. So I live in Paris. My grandkids live in Murray, which is about 25 minutes away in Kentucky. So we're that close. Well, since my daughter passed away, I would go pick my granddaughter up like every weekend almost. So in 2000, I think it was 2 years ago. No, it was 3 years ago. It's just a straight stretch on Mineral Wells to get from Paris to Murray. There's no side turns, no nothing. There's just straight highway. And it's 2-lane highway. So I was going to pick her up, and it was about not even dusk, but going to get there, you know? So I'm going down this 2-lane highway. Right before you get into Murray, there was this, I guess it was an animal, I don't know, laying in. I'm in the right lane. It's on the left lane. The back end of it was slightly off the road, taking up the whole left lane and about a foot into my lane. Now, all I could see was the back of it. Honest to God, it looked like a bison, but there are no bison there. Wasn't a cow. I've lived on farms. I know what all the animals are. It was shaped like a bison. Humongous shoulders with kind of that woolly, furry, dark hair. It was darkish brown, almost black. And then the long back, and then the butt. You know how it goes around to the butt? Could not see legs, could not see feet, could not see the head. It was laying like curled. All I could see was the back of it. So I had to stop because it was in my lane. I had a black car behind me, 2 trucks in front of me, one a baby blue 1970s F-150 Ford, and a big black up on, huge wheels behind him. We were all stopped because everything was blocked. Now, in front of this, about 3 feet outside my door, away from the body, was a chunk of meat in the road that was like 12 by 12.
12 by 12 what? 12 inches or 12 feet?
Inches. A big chunk of meat.
Okay.
With the fur under it. It was the fur. You could see the subcutaneous white fat. And then the meat, the red meat. It was brand new. It was still steaming. It had steam coming off it. So it was about a foot by a foot and about 8 inches thick. What the hell is that? Well, I had the guy behind me blowing his horn like crazy. So I had to go. And as I was going, I wanted to stop and get out and look at what it was. So I want to know what the hell it was. But I had to go. And the 2 trucks, I kept looking in the rearview mirror to see if anyone was getting out to check out what this was. Did somebody think it was a dead cow that got hit by a car? Blood all over the road. I mean, humongous puddle of blood. And the steaming piece of, I'll never forget what that chunk of meat looked like. Never. Because it grosses me out. But I picked my granddaughter up. About 3 minutes have gone past. And I looked at her and I said, Brooke, do you want me to take you the other way home so you don't have to see what's laying dead in the highway, And she goes, no, I want to see it. So we went 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes tops, because she lived right on the other side of where this thing was laying. Nothing in the road. No cars are stopped, not a drop of blood, not a piece of meat. There is nothing in that highway. No way somebody got out there and moved it and cleaned the road up.
But other human beings saw it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're here. We're going to find out if they're... You never know, right? Somebody is there, might be here.
If I didn't have that jack leg behind me, I would have been pulled over talking to people and looking at it. You know what I mean? He was just laying on his horn like his life depended on it. So, that's, other than the crazy little stuff, that's about the major junk that happens.
So hasn't it frustrated you in any way, like not knowing the absolute answers to what's going on?
The biggest thing that frustrates me, you asked what I put my time into is the mud flood Tartarian crap. All these beautiful grand buildings all over the world that we didn't build. I want to know who built them. That's what bothers me, the mud flood. Have you seen the pictures?
The mud flood?
The mud flood back in the 1800s. Yes.
Where at?
The whole world.
Okay, the Great Flood. I've never heard mud flood term before.
Nobody's really correlated the mud flood with the Noah's Ark flood.
Right. Interesting. So how deep have you dove into that one?
Oh, really deep.
So no answers yet?
Yeah, I got nothing but time on my. Well, it's all speculation. The powers that be aren't going to tell you that the whole world was buried 14 feet in mud.
No.
If you go online and look at pictures of mud flood. Every major city in the entire world, not just the United States, but the entire world. All these grand buildings that they say were built in the 1800s that we can't build today with all our technology, but they're still standing. They were all built before or during, prior to the mud flood.
Really?
You can look at pictures of New York, Chicago, where they dig down to do road work or, mess with lines. They'll go down 2-3 stories and there is a whole city underneath. All of those, everything. There are
really
whole cities underneath every single major city.
It's funny. I've never heard it. I don't know anything about this. Nothing.
Oh yeah. Look for it's called My Lunch Break on YouTube. This guy.
Okay.
It's all together. It's not My Lunch Break. It's My Lunch Break.
Yeah.
He's got the most videos about it, but I'm telling you, it makes a lot of sense.
I'll look. Well, hopefully I'll remember. Like the big boss is back now, so I'm kind of busy, but I'll definitely look into the Great Mud Flood or the Mud Flood. Pardon?
I drove Sarah crazy emailing trying to figure, because I'm not tech savvy at all.
Right.
Her, my God, I don't know. What do I do here? What do I do here?
That's okay. You got it. It worked.
She's very pleasant. She's very sweet.
Oh yeah, she is, isn't she? She's a true angel. And you know what? Just so you know, she has seen people before. She's seen people, seen lights. She's had something run up on her in broad daylight just this last summer, but nobody's behind her. She's got a whole bunch.
Like my driveway. I mean, it was blowing air on my ear.
Yeah. She smelled the smell, but she's not curious. She's like, I don't want to know. Just leave me alone.
I've been out in the woods where you get the dead rot smell and stuff. I always assume it's a dead animal rotting, so I don't go looking for it.
No. Well, all right. I don't know. There's not much I can offer up for any. I don't have any knowledge or answers to what's been going on with you your whole life. Not that I'm the Ann Landers of creepy. We're just here to BS and talk about what's going on. But I'll guarantee you, somebody's got the same going on, and they're going to say something in the comment section, or they're going to email me.
Like I said, I passed it to my kids, and unfortunately, I believe my granddaughter got it too, because when her grandmother died, that same night, that woman came to her room. When her mother died, when she was 10, she came to her room. So unfortunately, she probably don't want people. She's scared to death of the subject. So I'm not going to say who she is, but yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think it's still going. Oh, my oldest daughter not only saw that tall thing in the bedroom, but she bought my granddaughter, what do you call them, scooters? Those scooters for her birthday a couple years ago while we were living here.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter's bedroom opens right onto where the driveway is, my oldest daughter. And she's looking out the window watching my granddaughter go back and forth on the new scooter, right? And she said she banged on the window and waved at her and said, "How you liking it, Brooke? Is it fun?" And she didn't get a response. And I happened to walk by her room about a minute later, and she said, "How come Brooke's not talking to me? I just banged on the window." I said, "Brooke's upstairs in my bedroom watching TV." She wasn't even outside. So that's two things she's gotten to see. So, her name's Summer. She's the artist of the Sabe that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And there you go. Yeah. You shared a lot.
Everybody tells me I should write a book, but I don't got that kind of patience.
It takes a while. I've been halfway through another one for about 2 years.
Yeah, who'd believe it anyway?
It takes a while. Well, it doesn't matter. doesn't matter who believes or not. Believe me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to anyone. Well, I guess family, though, it kind of sucks. It's always kind of gives me a little bit of a kick in the guts when I hear about children not being listened to, family members not being listened to. I knew a guy, personally, a friend of mine, and his son in his 20s. I mean, he was messed right up, bawling his eyes out from what he's seen standing next to his truck. And then his dad went to making fun of him. And then I shit all over him. I couldn't help myself. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be the safest place in the world for your children right now. And right now you'd be in the most dangerous place. Quit it. Yeah. Then he looked at me like, really? And I go, yeah, I've seen them too. Just so you know, it's just, that bugs me when family doesn't listen to family.
I've never understood parents who just, it's your active imagination. That didn't happen. You're lying. But I listen to everything my kids have ever told me.
No doubt. Yeah.
They never made up stories.
I think especially today. Yeah. I think especially today, a lot of parents right now are so stressed out with just trying to survive. They don't have time to take something else, some other as long as you're fed, you got a roof over your head, that's all I need out of you right now as you go back to being stressed out and trying to keep everything together.
I don't think all this technology has helped.
Yeah.
I think it's just what little bit of time parents had left over for their kids, from working and taking care of the house and all that. Just been sucked up with iPhones and,
Well, it sucks the way it's going, right? I mean, people aren't raising their children at all anymore, even though they're in the same house. They're not raising their children anymore.
Yeah, I did mine. I refused to send mine to child care.
Yeah.
I had the ability to be able, whoever I was married to, I had the ability to be able to have him work and me raise my own kids.
Yeah.
I wasn't having strangers. I mean, some people have no choice, and I feel bad for them.
The majority.
My kids are going to be raised by me.
Yeah, that's good. It's a dying breed. It's not that common anymore, and it's very sad, frustrating to watch, right? That the fact that our children aren't being raised by their parents anymore, and that's really scarier shit when you know what's going on.
Yeah, well, the system's set up so we can't. Everybody has to work.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have talked to a lot of people through here, a lot of people out here through the lens that are homeschooling their kids, becoming more and more popular. Especially with this. Sorry.
I told my granddaughter, and she's engaged now. Before she and her husband decide to have kids, you need to do some hard thinking about those 72 inoculations they force you to give your kids.
Yeah, right.
72. We had 3. 72. There's no way in hell I'd do that nowadays. If I had little kids, no way.
There's some dark shit going on in the world right now, but as long as people keep talking about it, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep talking about it. Everything. I'm going to keep talking about whatever I want until I can't.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Right?
I don't care who likes it or doesn't.
Yeah. But anyways, I guess we better wrap this up. I got the big boss home now, and I think I'm supposed to be taking her out for something to eat. We haven't seen each other for almost 2 weeks.
I know. She's been gone a while.
Yeah, because I was guiding, and then she left the day before I got home. She left to go back east.
Yeah.
So I've
been watching your videos. I'm sure you're tired of letting the dogs in and out.
Right. I told a lady I had to go. I had to go to our building supply store yesterday because I'm doing shit around here too. And I said to the lady at the counter's friendly with her. She's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "I've been alone with the animals for a week." She starts laughing. I go, "They taught me one thing. They taught me that all animals either should be in the freezer or covered in gravy on the table and nothing else."
I know you can tell you're getting a little
squirrely.
I gotta say, Chippy is the cutest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Isn't he?
He is the most adorable little thing I've ever seen.
Yep, that little shit.
It makes me smile when you bring him on there. I'm so glad that he gets to spend time with you.
Wait till you see his baby brother. He's coming next.
Yeah.
Leo, you wait to see this one. Oh my God.
He's just precious.
Yeah, Chippy's the cutest kid on the planet. I'm not kidding you. You wait till you see the next one that's coming.
It's watching,
just makes you shake.
I love any of your videos. I watch them all.
Oh yeah, it just makes you shake your head. And they had to have a blue hot rod car like Uncle Steve's for the last birthday.
Yeah.
And then Chippy's convinced that he's killed a whole bunch of bears right now, and he tells everybody that at school.
I love that picture of him with the bear that you guys put in that contest.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's that stuffed grizzly I got in the shop. I put it upside down. I put it out in the horse pasture.
Yeah, he's adorable.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out here and sharing the truth with us. And make sure you watch the comment section below, because I'll guarantee you somebody's going to want to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch.
Be interesting
And
about
write whatever you want to. It's impossible to insult me. It's impossible.
No, I don't think anybody's insulting here. And if they are, they're few and far between now. I used to go in the comment section and bait people. I'd just say something I knew would trigger. And then I'd trigger about 4 or 5, and I go, I got a whole herd of you this time. And I just delete and block them all and leave giggling my ass off. And then a couple months later, I do it again. And I'd suck it.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, easy. I think it's a pretty good crowd here now. Pretty big one, too. It's really big. It's funny on that note. Like, everybody knows I'm always by myself. I'm by myself in the woods, or I'm on the water. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not in celebrity world. You know what I mean? I don't pursue it, and I got no energy for it. But like Sarah said the other day, on the other side of frickin' Canada, her dad went to some small town for some farm supplies with his How to Hunt t-shirt on. And he says, somebody come up to you and says, how do you know this? Do you know this person? This How to Hunt? He goes, yeah, it's my son-in-law. What? You're Steve's father? And this is on the other side of Canada. It's kind of like, huh? Really?
Well, I got the sticker on the back of my car, but nobody's asked me what it means yet.
It's coming. It's coming. All right, well, let's close this up. You want to say anything to anybody in closing at all?
Not really.
All right.
I'm just glad I got to tell it, because I couldn't bear to type it out again. After the first time I went, they all got swallowed into God knows where. I couldn't type out all this stuff again. So.
Well, I've got, what do I got? 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4 or 5 email addresses. Sarah's got her other 2. You would not believe how many emails are in these inboxes.
What gets me is the people that are still asking to this day, how do I get a hold of you? How do I write to you?
That's kind of a funny one, isn't it?
Every single video says, share my story at howtohunt.com.
Well, I can even top that. I've had people email me and ask me where to send their story.
That is crazy, because apparently they know your email.
How amazing is that one? It's like, I'm going to email this guy and ask him where I should email. Whatever. I'm just saying. It all works out in the end.
Yeah, that's somebody banging on all 2 cylinders right there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, here we go. Thank you so much for coming out. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little purple counter on the top of the screen. Like mine says 67% uploading.
It says 99.
All right. As soon as yours says 100, then you can log out.
Okay.
And then I got to keep mine open until it says 100%. Otherwise, I won't have all this. All right.
Well, I so much appreciate getting to talk to you, and everybody send in your story, please.
Oh, I'm sure they will. We absolutely appreciate you too. Make sure you stay safe out there.
Oh, I'm trying. Okay. Thanks,
All
Steve.
right. You take care. Thanks so much for coming out.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later on. Bye.
Uh-huh.